Fortunately for you, back in the fall, I wrote an article for Holy
Yes, you did.
Communion explaining and giving sort of a primer to interested Christians as to what artificial intelligence is and how we should engage with it. So my intention is to read through this article and just feel free to interrupt with questions or points that come to you along the way, and we'll use that as a springboard into our discussion. So this article for Holy Communion, our church website, I start by saying this. It goes without saying that the current generation of Christians faces cultural and sociological changes unlike those of any generation previous. And with this article, I really start by giving an apologetic as to why we're talking about the issue in the first place. The current mass societal confusion in the West over basic questions of biology and morality was virtually unthinkable only 10 years ago, yet the church now finds herself in the unenviable position of evangelizing a culture that refuses to answer honestly questions such as, what is a woman? Unfortunately, many changes and many churches in the West are woefully unprepared to confront the present tidal wave of cultural change. Caught without the full armor of God, these churches either join the culture in surfing the wave, or they end up crushed beneath the tidal flood. The latter category includes churches stuck in outdated models of ministry from an age when Christianity was still culturally dominant. As a result, they are unprepared to minister to a new generation, struggling with the most basic questions of human sexuality, and ontology. Without a proper frame of reference, we, the church, will be blind to the most relevant issues facing ministry today. We will apply outdated solutions to the problems we perceive, and when we finally speak to the world around us, we will find ourselves speaking a totally different language from the people we are trying to reach. A church stuck in the old way of doing things is like a farmer trying to harvest wheat with a fishing net. Ignorance of the task at hand leaves him without the right tools for the job, and no amount of good intentions will bring the crop in. It is therefore important for the church to continually look forward in prayer to understand as best we can the cultural trends coming our way, that we may faithfully prepare the next generation and each other to do the work of ministry. One such trend for thinking Christians to consider is not specifically cultural, but instead technological. Though the two are closely intertwined, this is the trend of artificial intelligence, AI, as we'll use it interchangeably in our conversation, which is a field progressing far more rapidly than I think many people realize, though we are becoming more and more aware of it by the day. So that's our apologetic as to setting the frame of mind for what we're going to be talking about. And I want to go on and talk about some of the developments, the more salient points in artificial intelligence, things that have made the news, and really highlight the capabilities of the technology, which then bring with it worldview implications. So broadly speaking, artificial intelligence, just to give a definition, is the theory and development of computer systems which simulate human knowledge. You're making computer programs that act and try to mimic the human brain, human capabilities. These systems typically use algorithms, formulas, to train, we use the word train, on a vast set of information in order to learn. I put in quotes because, again, it's not a human. It learns how to perform a specific task. So in many cases, such systems are called neural networks, again, because they're making associations between pieces of information in a way comparable to how the human brain does. And again, as the name implies, they're designed to make those associations, and this technology has developed very rapidly, which has come with many groundbreaking developments. One of the ones that I found really fascinating was an AI program that was trained to produce original works of poetry in the style of famous authors like William Shakespeare or Robert Frost. There's one article that we'll link to in the podcast. The University of Oxford Union had held a debate last year which featured an original speech by an artificial intelligence, Winston Churchill, pitted against other artificial intelligence debaters. So in each example, the AI program produced a written work in the style of the respective author, which had never before been written. AI technology has also been used in image generators, and this is one that we won't be able to show live on the podcast today, just given the limitations of our setup. But the most popular program is called DALL-E, and it's going to sound, I'm sure it sounds very foreign to you. Its name is a mix, think of it as between the famous artist Salvador Dali and the Pixar robot Wall-E. So you smush those together, it refers to the name DALL-E. But here you have a computer program where you type in a string of text. So you think of anything that comes to mind, Mark. Thomas Aquinas wearing a top hat, holding a baseball bat. You type that in, it pops out an image of the thing that you described using words. And you can specify a genre of art, the style of a certain artist, and based on the data set that it has been trained on, which is a large subset of the internet, it can then produce an original work of art in the style that you specify. To add on to that, so going back to the groundbreaking developments in the article, there was an instance where a different artificial intelligence text-to-image generator, which was called Midjourney, it made headlines for winning an art competition in Colorado against human artists.
Oh, boy.
So you had a human artist who used his computer program to generate a work of art, and then he entered it into the competition and he won. So granted, AI-generated work, it needs to be curated. So it doesn't, we would like to get the impression that it gets everything right the first time. It doesn't. You give it a command and then it spits out a bunch of options for you, and you curate it by picking and choosing which ones best meet your needs. But it doesn't change the fact that this nascent technology is going to have worldview implications far beyond anything we could have possibly imagined in recent years. And I'm sure the two of you never imagined you'd be listening to a nerd have this conversation with you at this very moment in time.